Alright, 8th grade, let's do 6.3. This is solving equations that involve fractions and decimals, and mainly the main part about this assignment right here is that you do the same things that we are doing solving with the letters and with whole numbers. You do the exact same things with fractions and decimals. So the page we're on is page 303. And least common denominator, that tells you we're going to be dealing with some fractions. The LCD is the smallest, that's the least number. That, pen's not working. The denominators can go into. So for example, 1/4 plus 2/6. You can't add those because there's not common denominators. So what would the smallest number that 4 and 6 could both go into? You would have to rename both of them with 12 as the denominator. That's the least common denominator. So let's see what we got going here. A colony of coral is 0.7 meters high and is growing at a rate of 0.25 meters per year. Another colony is 11 hundredths meter high and is growing at a rate of 41 thousandths meter per year. How many years will the colonies be the same height? So they want to know, when are they going to be equal? When are they going to be the same? So this one is 0.17 high right now, plus it's growing at a rate of 0.025x per year. X means the number of years. So 1 year it'll be that, in the 2 years it'll be twice that. 3 years, 3 times that. The other colony is 0.11 meters, and it is growing at a rate of 0.041 per year. So notice we have x's on both sides, so we move the smallest x, so we do the same thing we did. We're going to minus 0.25x from this side, minus 0.025x from this side. Like terms are lining up. I get 0.17 equals 0.11, and that's subtracting, borrow, the pen won't work worth a darn, sorry. And then you would subtract 0.11, which is 0.06 equals 0.016x, divide by 0.016, and then you divide that out, and the answer comes out to be 3.75. And I would say definitely, let's, you can use your calculator. Make sure you're showing me all this work though. Let's see if I got it right. Let's see if we set them up the same way. Look at that, we did. And then we subtracted. That's the same thing we did. Divided. There it is. So basically, it's just the same thing. You and your friend are buying snowboarding gear. You buy a pair of goggles that cost $39.95 and 4 tubes of wax. Your friend buys a helmet that costs $59.95 and 2 tubes of wax. You each spend the same amount. Write and solve an equation to find the price of 1 tube of wax. So the unknown is the tube of wax. That's going to be your x. You pay $39.95 plus 4 tubes of wax. 4 times how the price of it, which we don't know. Your friend buys a helmet that's $54.95 plus 2 tubes of wax. So they spend the same amount. That's why we can set them equal to each other. Now we just solve. So let's move the x's. I'm going to minus 2x from this side. Minus 2x, so $39.95 plus 2x, because that makes 2x, equals $54.95. Minus $39.95 from this side. And that's going to be a 5. That's going to be $15. Divided by 2, and half of 15 is $7.50. A tube of wax costs you $7, Let's see if they agree with us. There it is. $7.50. Example 2, I don't know why they're all messed up like this. Sorry. This one right here, the same thing and it gets a little crazy in here. You see these? They are like terms. So it's just like with whole numbers, you need to combine these together. So by combining those together, oh, I know what they're doing. Yeah, okay. Let's make this easier. To make it easy, you look at it and you say, you know what, if I could get rid of the decimals and just make those whole numbers, it would make this a whole lot easier. So you look at the biggest decimal. What has the most decimal places? This one has 2 places. So if I could multiply it by 100, it would move the decimals all the way over here. So you pick the biggest one, and you're going to multiply everything in here by 100. So by multiplying by 100, you move the decimal 2 places to the right. So that becomes 140x. This is 180. This is 235x, and that becomes 21. Now you have just regular numbers to deal with. 140 plus 235. It just makes it easier as far as the problems to solve it. So there it is, and then you combine your like terms. Then you add the 180 to both sides and divide, and then it comes out. You can leave the decimals if you want, but it just makes it easier to do it that way. And we'll do some of those in the guided practice if you don't understand. So let's talk about fractions. This is the same thing. We're going to move the x's together. So I have an x over here. I want to move this thing over here. So how do you get rid of a minus 1/6 x? You add 1/6 x to this side. You add 1/6 x to this side. The 1/6 cancel out here, and it's kind of a pain because we got to get common denominators before we can add these. Common denominator for 10 would be 30. 9/30ths. 9 plus 24/30ths. Did I do that right? Times 3 times 5. No, 14/30ths. Sorry. I didn't think it should reduce. X. And I don't know if you guys remember, but the way you get rid of a fraction when you are multiplying is to multiply by the reciprocal, which in this case would be 30 over 14, which cancels those out. The 10 cancels out. This is where those fractions come in that we learned from the last chapter. So I get 3/2, which is 1 and 1/2. Okay? And don't even look at how they did it. Don't even look. I'm not even going to let you look. Don't even think about that way. All right, so here's that guided practice I was telling you about. Let's get rid of these decimals. You look through, and there's 1 decimal place for on every one of these numbers. So to get rid of them, we would multiply through everything by a 10, which would move everything over. So this is going to be negative 17k plus 67k equals 131. Now we got rid of the decimals. We start moving stuff. With the k's, we don't have to move anything around except we can combine these like terms. Negative 17 plus 67 is 50k equals 131. Divide by 50. K equals 2 and 31/50ths. And I don't know if they wrote it as a decimal. They did. They wrote it 2.62, which would be what you'd get if you divided that out. So again, this time, I can't just multiply through by 10 because this one has 2 decimal places. So I have to multiply through by 100. So that means I'm going to move my decimal places 2 places. So that's going to be 120n minus 24 equals, this one 2 places would be 70n. And now, if I move the smallest one, I'll leave nothing over here. So I'm going to move this one, 120n minus 120n. Those cancel out. Negative 24 equals negative 50n. Divide by negative 50. 2 negatives make a positive. Cut them both in half. 12/25ths, and then the book might even have that as a fraction, which is 0.48. And you just divide that. 12 divided by 25, and that gets you the 0.48. So what are we going to multiply through on this one? We want to get rid of the decimals. So we're going to multiply, there's one decimal place and one decimal place, which is a 10. So we're going to multiply everything by 10 though. So 83 minus, we even have to take the 8 times 10, plus 60. So we will, let's see, let's add 80y, I get 92y plus 60 equals 83 minus 60 minus 60. 23 equals 92y, divide by 92. And since it started out as decimals, go ahead and take your calculator and do 23 divided by 92. I'm getting 0.25. Yep. That's not a 5, that's a 4, isn't it? I didn't write that very good, did I? 23 divided by 92 then. All right, this one, we have our fractions going here. Trying to make it easier. It's not. So I'm going to get this x by itself, so you get rid of the plus 3, so you're going to minus 3, minus 3, so negative 7/10 minus 3. If you boom that, it's going to be negative 3 7/10 equals 4/5 x. How do you get rid of a fraction? With a letter, you multiply by the reciprocal, times 5/4. Now remember, you can't multiply when it's like this, so you have to change it. 37/10 times 5/4, that's a negative. Cancel. 37 over 8, it's negative 4, which is 32, and 5/8. Boy. Somehow I got that right. That's hard. Those are hard to do, especially with fractions. Okay, this one, these two both have s's on them. They are like terms, so I can do 2 minus 1 1/4, which is 3/4 s, equals 1/3. If we were doing 2 minus 1 1/4, borrow, make it a 1, 4/4. 4/4 minus 1/4 is 3/4. That's where that came from. Multiply by the reciprocal to get the s by itself. That's going to be 4/9. And that's correct. On a roll. Let's move the v over here so we don't leave this all alone. So minus 5/6v minus 5/6v, those cancel out. 5/8 equals, let's see, 3/8 minus 5/6. Common denominator for 8 and 6 is 24. Times 3, that's going to be a 9. Sometimes that's going to be a 20, so 29/24. I'm going to leave it like that. Because, how do I get rid of a fraction with a multiply by the reciprocal, which is 24 29ths. Canceled this. 15 over 29. Ooh, I don't know if that's right. Did I write it right? Oh, you guys, you probably caught this. Look, I was supposed to subtract over here. 9 minus 20 is negative 11/24. So that's wrong. Negative 11/24 v equals 5/8. Multiply by 24 over 11. cancel. It's going to be 15 over 11. Negative 15/11, which is negative 1 4/11. Wow. All right. Well, we'll give it a good shot at that. Maybe we'll see. I think there's only 19 problems on the guided or on the skill sheet, so maybe we'll try to work our way through those and see if we can get those. So, okay, good luck. It's tough. Hang in there. Just remember all the rules for the fractions and the decimals. See you next time.